Welcome to the Laurent Collective podcast, where we go deeper than just surface talk.
Each week, we'll explore everything from family, business, creativity, culture, and faith.
To make sure not to miss an episode, be sure to subscribe and hop on to Instagram at Laurent Collective to chat with us about this episode. Hello.
Hi, we're back. We have cups of tea now, so
Yes.
more caffeine for us. Watch out.
Yeah. Really quick reminder that we would love for you to rate and review the podcast.
Yes, please.
And take a screenshot of when you're doing that.
I wish you could see Pat's hand
And
motions right now
then-
for screenshot.
Send it to us. Get it to us through Instagram, at Laurent Collective. Go on Facebook if you need to, if that's easier for you. Or you can email us, and you can find our email address through our website. So whatever you do, rate and review. Send us an image of that, as well as send us an image. So then you
Just
can
that's
be
fine.
up for a drawing for a mug, and I don't know how many we're going to send out, but
haven't
it could
decided
be
that yet.
multiples or it could be one. So we're just trying to sort
You would
that
pick
out.
the design that
But yeah,
you
yeah,
want
you
to.
would get
Well,
to
one of
pick-
our designs that we have available. Yeah.
But anyways, we would
Hey.
love for you to do that. So we would really appreciate that.
It helps, and the reason why is it helps other people find us, and we want this podcast to just be helpful to people. So
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about a business-related thing, but maybe it will apply to personal things too, if you're trying to end something. But a lot of people know that we ended part of our business, and we've done this before. We've gone through seasons where we've closed up part of our business and stuff like that, and it feels like we're getting some questions about, well, it doesn't feel like we are getting some questions about, like, how do I know when it's time to end, which is, I think we've kind of done a conversation with that already. I'm blanking on the episode right now, but this is more of like, how do you end well? How do you end something well? And so when you've gotten to that, you've made that decision, I'm done with this part of my business, or I'm done with this business as a whole. How do you end it well? And so we had a photography business that we had ran since our son was born, I think for 12 years. And it took on different, iterations of wedding, moving into portraits, moving into in the United States, they do a lot of his senior portraits, and that was more just me doing those. And it was going really well, actually. It was,
It was not slowing.
no,
that's
it was
for
not
sure.
slowing
It
down
was-
and
it
stuff
was
like
really-
that. And so the decision to end it
It was really building.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
And the name was really starting to spread, which was really cool.
So, saying that, you're probably wondering, why on earth did you decide to end your business? And there was so many things that came into play. That one of those was we were moving to London. We had made the decision to move to London. And with that meant, like, there's not senior photography here. There's not a thing that you do when you get past your A levels that you take, like, form. They actually think it's very strange that we do that in the United States, that you would take photos of ending high school and that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I guess depending where you are, I know in different regions of the United States, it's not as big of a thing, but in the Midwest, it was huge.
That was a big deal. Yeah.
And so I knew that I didn't want to go back to weddings because I didn't want to be working on the weekends. I had grown out of loving to do family portraits unless the kids were older. Everybody has their thing. So
Yeah. It just wasn't.
and the baby ones I didn't love because I didn't love all the trying to pose them and make them look perfect and stuff like I just wasn't talented at that. Some people, we had a friend take Veda's and she was amazing at it. But
I
that
think,
was not a gift
again,
I had.
I think just looking at the things that were giving you life, and it was that
exactly.
taking photographs of that
Yeah.
age and that landmark.
And so I made the decision that I needed to close the photography business before we moved. And we knew, obviously, this wasn't like we're moving and in 2 months I need to close the business. This was a year out. And so I had to make decisions on how do I do this well that honors the business I've created and stuff like that. And probably is going to be very strange to some people.
It was strange to a lot of people.
But yeah, because they're like, why would you stop doing this? And then mentally prepare for it too, because that's hard to close something that kind of, in many ways that you've grown and things like that. So the after I made the decision that this is the direction, the next decision was like, when is going to be my date that is like, I'm closing shop now. I'm not only done, so then you have to work backwards from that. So it means like when I say closing shop, everything's done. Yes, later on in the year it may come up that you have to put the taxes stuff together for taxes because of the time of year you might choose. But like, when am I absolutely done? I'm no longer sending emails from this place. I'm done with client relations.
The website might be down.
The website could go down. And there might be a message up on that. Like just different things like that. Like you are done. And so Pat and I sat down and we figured out like what that date was going to be. And then we worked backwards. And so, if you offer, if you're a service, if you offer a product or products and things like that, and you want to figure that out too. Like, so I know some people who have closed their product stores or shops and businesses, and they've made a decision like, I'm going to have these massive blowout sales leading up, but then this is the absolute final sale. And after that, I'm going to try and sell these products to some other people to get rid of this inventory, or I'm going to donate it. And then after that, I'm done kind of thing. So you may have different points. And so for me, one question I had to say is, when is my last photo shoot that I'm going to do? What is that date? Because then after the photo shoot, if any of you are photographers, there's the editing the photos, which we had somebody else doing at the time. So giving that person time to do that. I met with our clients personally to look through their photos and stuff like that. So that would be like, when are my last times that I'm going to do that?
The last meeting.
And then making sure I get the photos and all the products to the clients and giving room and space for that. So it was very much like tapered off, start here, go to the next thing. And then slowly it became, I have nothing else to deliver to clients. Now I need to probably remind again that this business is closing. I had a couple other photographers I sent them to and forwarded people to. It was then putting, information as like a forwarding email address or on the website of here's who we recommend, things like that. I think what I didn't expect, and this is not everyone's experience, what I didn't expect when I first sent out the first email and said, look, like my calendar is open, and I used an app. I didn't have people email me to say their availability. I used an app that people could see my availability and sign up for their spots there. My calendar is open through this date, and after that, I'm not photographing anymore. And for us, we were very overwhelmed because the calendar filled up super quick when I made the announcement. We weren't going to be doing that anymore, which then I was like, I didn't expect to be that busy towards the end of it. And so looking back, I would not put as many spaces to be open, which was just... I just didn't expect that reaction. So that's why I was like, well, I'm going to do my normal. And then when I realized I was going to be photographing every single night of the week, I was like, oh, shouldn't have done that. I was just trying to be very open for people. And I had gone against everything I had done before in the past. So I think that was one thing, looking back, I probably could have done a little bit better. But then we had people that so sweetly were begging after the date that I had officially closed everything that would contact us. Still, they would find my email address or find me on Facebook or something like that if they weren't contacting me through my business anymore, to be like, are you sure you can't just do like this one thing or this one? And it's so hard to say no when you have ended a chapter that I really did enjoy. I wasn't closing it because I hated what I was doing anymore and stuff like that.
I think too for you, as we process some things, yes, obviously moving to London was a big part of that decision, but there were some other things that were happening that you kind of were starting to feel like there's something that's changing, that there might be something rumbling underneath the surface that is maybe saying that I need to shut my business down. It wasn't just London. Like, obviously that's
that
such
was a big part of it, but
that's a huge part of it. But there were some things that were coming up that I think we've talked a little bit about it before, but just the idea of like you going, I don't know if I have any more goals, or I don't know if there are certain things in my business that I'm grasping to. Because I think I do want to be mindful as we talk about this, is like, there are certain situations where you have to end your business and you're not happy about it.
No, yeah.
Because I think in some ways this was like, we were able to shut our business down in a very like structured way, if that makes any sense, right? And the things that we're talking about, like, yes, please go through this process if that's what you feel like you need to be doing. But there are other options. There are other things that might happen that create, a circumstance where you have to shut something down that you don't feel like is ready to shut down.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
whatever.
like financially, you may not be able to pay for the rent for the space that you have a
Yeah,
store in and stuff
exactly.
like that. Like there's
that
other situations
happened
that are super stressful.
That happened to us with the other with the
our
nonprofit that we
which
had.
We'll have to talk about that in another
I mean,
podcast. Definitely.
and in some ways,
and that was really sad and that was really hard.
And so I think, I don't want to say, like, I don't want to negate like this process, but there are other circumstances and other things that happen that might be calling to you and saying we need to end this.
Yeah.
So maybe some of these tools that we're talking about could potentially give you a better, a more sustainable way, or like give you guys more of a process that helps you through something really difficult, if that makes any sense. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if that I don't want to derail, but I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit.
Well, and I think for me, my situation was, there was something about it, and this sounds cliche, so I'm sorry, but there was something about it that my heart wasn't in it anymore. I still enjoyed it. Like, I still enjoyed my interactions with people and stuff like that, but there was just a part of it that slightly felt empty. That I thought, I don't think this is a good place to be doing a business from. Because then it could possibly, which I did not want it to turn into just about the money. Now, should it also be about money because you're running a business? Yes, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
In order to have business, you need to be making money, and frankly, you should be making a profit.
Yeah.
So that was not that. But I didn't want to just be doing the motions. Sure, you go through seasons, but when I realized it was a very long season that was happening, I thought something's different here.
I think I just wanted to make sure that people understood that there was more to the story than just us moving to London too. Like there was other things that were in the works as well.
Yeah, exactly. So. It all just happened to coincide with moving to London.
Right,
as
exactly.
Well.
Yeah.
And so and London was probably a little bit easier for people to understand actually. And so I also am mindful of the fact that some of you may be closing and deciding to end a business, but then people don't get it because you don't really have a next chapter outlined for anyone.
Yeah, we actually had a new season to walk into, right?
Exactly. You don't know what is next and that kind of thing. And that's really difficult if you're closing your business and people continue to contact you to want you to do things or to buy something from you and stuff like that. That's really difficult then to have people have an understanding. I know a lot of people who have just decided to close their business because it's not working for them anymore. It was I know one person who decided to go back to accounting after doing something in a more creative business and stuff like that, because after she had kids, she wanted a more structured time frame of when she worked and stuff like that. And again, that was what she desired to do and what she wanted to do and that kind of thing. But that can be really confusing to people, and then being like, well, why would you want to do that when you've been your own entrepreneur and your own schedule and stuff like that? But we each individually have our reasons. Or like I said, it could be something like, you can't pay your rent. It's costing more money to do your business than it is that you're actually making a profit and stuff like that. And you've tried all kinds of different things and that's not working. I know somebody here who they had a physical store and they thought, well, I'm not doing the physical store thing anymore because it's not working. It's too much. I'm going to just do an online store. They tried the online store for a while and realized it's taking up way too much of my time as well. I'm going to close it as well. And so they've closed that and they're starting something new. But when they did close it, they did not have a plan of what they were starting and that kind of thing. So there's all different reasons. I think the thing of then thinking is like, okay, when is my end date, and planning backwards from that. And there may be other things you need to do too. Like there's all the other stuff, like when do you close the bank account? I mean, there's all these different calls. There's very I had to, through the state that we lived in, had to cancel whatever, like not renew whatever business entity thing I had and all those different things, and make sure they knew for sales tax and all that stuff. So there is a lot of like detailed stuff. And depending what state you live in and stuff, sometimes just doing a Google thing, you can figure out what you need to, or country, exactly, and city and all that stuff. It's different everywhere. And I think one thing that I would say that is the hardest part of it is the emotional attachment that you may have to your business and stuff, which is, first of all, totally normal. And especially, two different things happens, especially if you're stepping away from something that you really had dreams for and it didn't go how you hoped.
Yeah.
That's really hard. And, we all too quickly put in that word failure into our heads and stuff like that. And that's really easy to get stuck there and really easy to wallow in that too. Or if you're having to end something that you did love, but because of life circumstances, because of a change, because of whatever it may be that you're having to end it, that's really difficult emotionally and everything too. And so no matter what you do, I think there's going to be a lot of like mental overwhelm in it too. And I think it's paying attention to it and it's acknowledging it. It's realizing it, and it's really trying to give yourself time to process that too. I will say, like, for everything in our businesses that we have done and everything in our life that we have done that we either feel like we have failed at in some way, we've always learned from it. And the next thing we have done has been just a bit better. It may not have been wildly successful, but like we have learned from it.
I think again, like taking the time to process, the journey of whatever that was, the business or organization or whatever it is that you started or created or were a part of that now is having to close, like just processing that whole journey of like really seeing kind of where it was and where it got to and why this happened or why that didn't happen or all that kind of stuff. If you can really reflect and learn from that, like that's only going to make the next thing that much better. Right. So, I think we've tried that. We've tried to do that every single time we've had to do this process. And if you're not acknowledging the things that you might have gotten wrong or did right, or if you're not doing that in a really healthy and like reflective way, that next thing, you might just end up doing the same exact thing and end up with the same result. And so again, it's just making sure that you're paying attention and processing and reflecting on the things that you even if it didn't go exactly the way you were hoping, just really making sure that you can learn from it and understand.
Yeah. I think one of the most rewarding parts of any of my business was having people I could pass the business that would possibly come into off to.
Or the learnings from it, right?
Well, yeah, both. I mean, that's why I'm passionate about like coaching and mentoring business owners now and stuff like that. Because I did learn so much and got that business to a certain place because of the things I had learned and failed at. But then there was also when people would contact me and say, like, oh, I'd love you to do this. I'm like, so sorry, I'm not doing that anymore. Or like I had an email template that if it just went through that email that it just said, here, if you're looking for this kind of photography, contact this person. This type, contact this person, that kind of thing. And I think that felt really good because then I would hear from some of those people, oh, hey, thanks for sending me them, or, that kind of thing. The same can go for like a physical business, like product business too. Like if you have something that you can say, hey, there's similar products offered over on this website or a similar service offered here, like that you have a friend or something like that. Because then you feel like in many ways, like you're passing on if you can. I know there are some things where maybe you have a physical store and there's no way to have that anymore and that kind of thing, or you are done paying for your website or whatever it may be. But if you can do that, there's something that feels really good in that. And I guess the other thing I would say too is for whatever reason you're choosing to end your business, I think the biggest thing is to know, like, it doesn't mean your journey's over by any means. Is that who knows whether you have something like, like I can think of tons of people, they've ended their business and been like, I don't know what I'm doing next. Actually, I don't have a plan. And then it's been, maybe it's been several months later, maybe it's been a couple years later. But whatever it is, that they've then come up with a really cool idea and they've actually started a different kind of business or that kind of thing, or they've stepped into a new career or that kind of thing. I know one person who was a photographer right now, she's a nurse and she is so happy. She loves it. And that kind of thing. So you never know what you're opening up when you end something, what opportunities you're opening up, whether they're right away or not, that you're possibly opening up opportunities for things that will even be a better fit for you.
I mean, I think this is so cheesy, but like just looking at nature, and there's like so many things that have to die in order for new growth to happen. And like, that's like, for me, like that's such a perfect illustration that, in nature, certain things have to die in order for new growth to happen. And so, that might just be the season that you're in, that something needs to die, something needs to end in order for this new growth opportunity to happen. that, we all hope that is way better than the past, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's always what we're hopeful for. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I hope it's an encouragement to anybody that may be in that season or thinking about this. We're not talking about thinking through the decision of it. That's a whole nother thing. But like thinking about like, once you've made the decision, I need to close this business, like what it looks like from there. And then, and thinking through them, it is emotional, and it will be, even if you think like, oh, I can't wait to be done with this. Maybe you're there. You're still going to have emotions crop up that you don't expect.
Yeah.
So that's just something to be prepared for. And I would say in that, having a good support base, not, having some friends and stuff like that, that are there to support you and that you can share with, or saying I'm having a really difficult day, or these feelings are creeping in, or these thoughts and stuff. That's really important too in this process. So, and if you're there and you are really struggling right now, our hearts go out to you. Like I said, I mean, I knew that I needed to close my business, but it was really difficult. There was lots and lots and lots of tears. And that kind of thing. And so, we love you, and we see you, and it's difficult. And so we also want you to know, like, reach out to us. We'd love to give you some encouragement and that kind of thing,
definitely.
if that's you. And would love to hear from you.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely, even if you are at that point and you're at a point where you're having to close something, and it's really difficult and really hard, that I'm sure that there were parts in that journey that were really amazing. And so again, as you are at this point, even though it might be really, really difficult, be reminded of those things that got you to this point that were really amazing, and things that have created or happened to you in the process that have made you that much better, or that much more, unearthed new things in you, during that process that you can take into this next season or opportunity or whatever it is. But again, just being reminded of that. And we love you, and we definitely would love to connect with you if you're in this space right now. Because we would just love to encourage you. We've been through it.
And I would say a big thing is it's not the end of your story.
Yeah.
We wrap up ourselves so much in these businesses that we've started and things like that. And just because you're closing something like this, it's not the end of your story. There are still good things to come. And while you're maybe, mourning it and having all those feelings, like, yes, like move through those emotions and everything, but like, you're not done. Like you still have stuff to offer the world and everything. Just wanted you to remember that. And I feel like we better get off our soapbox on that. We'll be going on forever. So, so just know, like Pat said, you can always reach out to us. And we hope you feel a little bit encouraged in this, if this is something. We just wanted to do this because we know that these podcasts can be out there for people for when they need it and be able to access it. So we will talk to you guys next time, and we will see. Well, we won't see you. We'll just talk to you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of the Laurent Collective podcast. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to subscribe and leave a review, which helps others find our podcast. Continue the conversation with us over on Instagram at Laurent Collective.
We look forward to going deeper than just surface talk with you again next week.